I want you to come up close. I want to borrow your ears for just a moment. And here's what I want to say to you. I want to say that 158 school children died in Tehran the other day on a Saturday morning while studying, getting ready for Ramadan, along with 15 of their teachers. Some, 1,100 to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, whatever people have died in Lebanon and in Iran, and several people have died in Israel and in the Gulf nations as well, such as the UAE, Oman, Bahrain, the Arab Emirates, and Kuwait. We don't know because Trump won't let that report of deaths be told. Now, please listen to this very carefully. If you roll back the clock 30 years and Jeffrey Epstein does not start his prostitution reign of using young and underage girls to sell to rich and old impotent men, if Jeffrey Epstein never existed, the war in Iran would not exist. The people in Iraq would be doing their normal thing. The Ayatollah would be doing his stuff, and the Iranians would be doing their thing, and there'd be whatever they're going to do about a nuclear bomb. Nobody would really care, because nobody's going to use a nuclear weapon. But the reason why we have a war in Iran today and people are dying and the price of gasoline going through the roof, the price of food going through the roof, tensions are everywhere, innocent people are dying. Innocent people are dying is because Trump don't want you to know that a 13-year-old girl bit him in his private parts when he tried to have fellatio, I think is the word, sex, because some of y'all are so skimmish, y'all can't deal with the truth. She bit him, along with literally perhaps as many as 300 to 400 other girls that Trump had sex with. Of the 1,000 girls that we know about that were sexually abused by Ghislaine Maxwell and by Jeffrey Epstein, the third person on the list of having sex with the most girls was Donald Trump. Now that truth has been hidden for a goodly number of years. Now listen to Pastor Manny very carefully. To keep that truth hidden and to keep Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie and other members, Marjorie Taylor Greene and other members of Congress from digging and prodding into the Epstein files to discover that truth, Trump started a war. Trump started a war so that the news media, the news people would be reporting on the war and not talking about his being bit by a 13-year-old girl when he tried to have oral sex with her. That's why people are dying. That's why the Strait of Hormuz has been shut down. That's why ships are being sank. That's why airlines are being shot out of there. That's why 3 multi-million-dollar jets were shot down by the Kuwaiti Air Force, because Trump don't want you to know about the 13-year-old girl that bit him and another 300 girls that he had sex with over a period of time. He doesn't want you to know that. But here's the bombshell. Are you ready for it? Here's the bombshell. Trump perhaps does not care that you will find out that he had multiple sex with these young girls. Mainly because he doesn't really care. Trump is a sociopath. He just don't give a damn about anything. It doesn't bother him. Nor is he trying to protect the rich people that Jeffrey Epstein swindled billions of dollars out of these rich people. Once Jeffrey Epstein was able to video them having sex in a dentist chair and had it on video, showed them how they were having sex, how freakish they were acting with this 9-year-old girl, and then asked them for $1 billion, and they coughed it up. That's not what Trump's concern is either. Now, for many years, I said Trump is a sociopath. He doesn't have any concern whatsoever one thing after the other. But I want you to hear this today. This is breaking news. And there are other people that know it. There are literally thousands of people that work within the Department of Justice, even in the Biden administration and the Obama administration, that know this truth. There are people that know things about Obama. All the young men that have died around Obama, we don't have a count of all the young men that were either cooks or servants who served Obama that all of a sudden showed up dead that were homosexuals. And we'll get to that. But this is breaking news. The reason why we have a war in Iran today is because the news was about to be broken that Melania Trump was one of Jeffrey Epstein's young girls when Trump met her. She was one of Jeffrey Epstein's lovers. She and Ghislaine Maxwell were lovers. And Jeffrey Epstein and Melania were lovers. And the reason why Trump and Jeffrey Epstein fell out is not about somebody that worked at Mar-a-Lago that Jeffrey Epstein stole. It was about Melania. Trump liked Melania. Of all the 300 other girls he had sex with, he liked Melania best. And he took her under his wings. And he married her. And Epstein came to the wedding. Ghislaine Maxwell came to the wedding. They all had a big hullabaloo. And at the time, Trump didn't realize he'd be president and all of this would be public knowledge or potentially public knowledge. He didn't realize at the time, but he felt, well, Melania's not going to tell anybody that she was one of Jeffrey Epstein's, prostitutes. Trump wasn't going to tell anybody. But there are people that work for the Department of Justice that have gone through the files, the millions and millions of pages of files that have been filed with the FBI, the 302 reports, etc. And Melania is in the Epstein files. And that's where Trump found her. So what Trump is fighting is not so much to keep you from knowing that he has sex with these young girls. What he's fighting to do is to keep you from knowing that his wife, Melania, was once one of those young girls who had sex with multiple men. And that's just how it is. That's just what it is. And so he'll continue to fight wars or open up venues to fight Iran because it takes the news media, they can't walk and chew gum. The news media, the legacy media, they can't walk and chew gum. They just go after the biggest story at the time. And this war could drag on for quite some time. And before it ends, I don't believe that will ever end. I think the war in Afghanistan ran on for 20-some years. I don't think this war will ever end. In fact, what we're going to see is that the Iranians know this. The intelligence of the Ayatollahs, the IRGS, or whoever they are, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they all know what I just told you. They all know the reason why they are fighting this war is to keep the media from ultimately finding out what Trump and Melania, how they met through Jeffrey Epstein. They know that. Listen, there's another thing that Trump has in his sexual secrets, and that is that he had sex with a bunch of golden spray girls over in Russia years ago, and Vladimir Putin has got it on videotape. So Trump's entire life, when you see Trump, you take a close look at him. First of all, he's a sociopath. He genuinely is not responsible for himself. Trump should not be allowed out in public without a straitjacket. He's not responsible for himself. He's not responsible for what he says. He's not responsible for what he does at the return of the dead soldiers wearing a baseball cap and now using that photo to raise funds and promising these stupid MAGA people that if they'll send him an offering, he'll allow them to sit in on secret meetings that are held regarding national importance. I forget all of the appropriate language I'm supposed to use about the Department of Intelligence and the CIA. He said he'll let them sit in on the meeting if they'll send him an offering. Trump says that to them. He's lying. But the reason why people are dying, the reason why you're going to pay more for your food is because of Melania. It's Melania, stupid. It's because of Melania, stupid, that this war and that people are dying and that oil can't get shipped through the Strait of Hormuz. It's because of Melania, stupid. It's not the 300 girls or more that Trump had sex with that were underage. He can live through that. It's not all the people that are rich and that paid Jeffrey Epstein $1 billion to hide that video, that the FBI and the Justice Department, that even Obama and the Biden administration, they all had these things. They didn't produce them. And I will give MAGA and Joe Rogan, a bunch of other, and Alex Jones, the hustler, for saying, listen, Biden had these reports. He could have released them. Obama had these reports. He could have released them. But who knows? Obama might have been in the reports, and Biden might have been in them as well. In fact, they still might be in them. And I think they cleared Clinton. I think they cleaned Clinton stuff, Bill Clinton stuff up. But Biden might be in the Epstein file. Obama might be. Hell, you know, who knows who's in the Epstein file? Listen, Michelle the fist bumper, Obama's wife, might be in the Epstein files. You don't know. Who is it that ain't in the Epstein file? But that's not the reason why Trump started this war with Iran. He started this war with Iran because Melania is in the Epstein files. Stupid. And so we'll see what happens. That's what Trump likes to say all the time. We'll see what happens. We'll not let these files be unfurled. But ultimately, I think that they will. Ultimately, I think that these files, you know, here's the dilemma. You see, when Pastor Manny, you're talking double talk now. I will try not to. I wouldn't want you to think that about me. Jesus prophesied there'd be the tribulation. And what Jesus didn't tell us 2,000 years ago about the Epstein files, he knew that it would happen. And he knew that these Epstein files would be the foundation of wars, rumors of wars, and a crazy man named Trump. And presidents like Biden, who perhaps is not as vile as Trump, and presidents like Obama, maybe not as vile, but also sexually deviant. Jesus knew that then. He just didn't call their names. But he knew then that this would be the source of wars and rumors of wars. I mean, you got to have some kerosene or some gasoline or some lighter, that is to say, some wood that can start the fire. And that's where these wars are coming from. So for every one of those young girls that died Saturday, a couple of weeks ago, in that Ramadan school in Tehran, for every one of them that died, they're going to meet the same young girls that were raped by the rich and powerful, impotent men here in America. But the one woman they don't want you to know about, the one woman they don't want you to know about is Melania. But it's about Melania, stupid. Me, I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.